In this video, I'm going to go in depth into exactly what you should do if you want to transition into product management. This video is specifically for students or early to mid-career professionals who don't necessarily have a technical background but want to become product managers. Let's dive in. The first thing you need to do is really understand your why. What I mean by this is, why do you actually want to become a product manager? What about the role interests you? Is it that you want your career to more directly focus on impacting the customer's experience and you aren't able to satisfy that in your current role? Or is it that you want to make six figures working in the tech industry? Understanding your why is really important to always anchor on when you search for a PM role, because getting a PM job is not necessarily easy. If you know your why, you can always fall back on it to keep you motivated. The second thing you need to do is learn different skills. The first skill I recommend you learn is analytics. You need to understand how you can collect and use data to make different decisions when you are a product manager. Data is a critical part of how companies make decisions because it's a way to really understand customer behavior at a large scale. There's different lingo like funnels or KPIs that you should learn, and there's also tools like Google Analytics or Amplitude that you can learn as well. SQL is a data analytics language that helps you answer questions with data, and you can learn that for free online. The most important thing to know with data is that it's an important part of the interview process. If you aren't able to back up your answers with how you would track and make decisions based on data collected, you probably won't make it far into your interviews. The second skill I recommend you gain is technical aptitude. You don't need to know how to code, but you do need to know how technology is built. You should learn about how APIs work and also the difference between the front end and the back end and how they work together. You should also learn the overall product development process from beginning to end. Knowing how you can work with different team members to ship features is really critical. The third skill I recommend is learning about product management tooling. Jira, Coda, Notion, GitHub, Asana, Trello, Figma. These are just some examples of pieces of software that PMs may use to manage their teams. Learning these can be valuable so that when you do become a PM, you can hit the ground running, and you can also then put these tools on your resume. And then the fourth skill is knowing product terminology. Product managers typically speak in a common language. They talk about things like objectives and key results, or OKRs, product roadmaps, product strategies, sprints on the engineering team, prioritization, and more. Knowing these different terms and what they mean will really help you talk the talk during your interviews. I'd recommend watching YouTube videos and reading articles online to brush up on this terminology. Okay, the third thing you need to do is identify your unique value proposition. What makes you specifically a good candidate for a product manager role? What about your background should the hiring managers really know? Is it that you have a background in customer support, so you have tremendous customer empathy and problem-solving abilities? Is it that you have a master's in data science, so you're really able to effectively collaborate with engineers and data scientists to build out machine learning functionality? Identify what your unique value prop is and make sure to clearly communicate that during the interview process. I'd also recommend candidates look to see if they have what I call the 4-vector fit. The first vector is industry. Do you work in a particular industry and have specialized knowledge that you can leverage in your search? For example, if you have healthcare experience, you could end up working at a healthcare tech company. The second vector is technology. Do you have experiences with certain pieces of tech? Maybe your current role is a data analyst for a mobile app company, so you could apply for mobile PM jobs. The third vector is business model. If you have experience with two-sided marketplaces like Airbnb or Kayak, for example, you can apply to companies that have similar models that you're already knowledgeable on. And the fourth vector is role type. So maybe you work in a growth marketing role, and so you could target growth product manager positions. With these 4 vectors, what you're really trying to do is identify the aspects of your background that you can use to stand out in the sea of candidates. The fourth thing you need to do is really brush up on your resume and LinkedIn and create a standout product portfolio. So first, for your resume, you need to make sure that you're effectively translating your skills from your current role to something a hiring manager would look for in a product management candidate. Use the job description of the PM role you're applying to help you. For example, if you work in customer support, instead of saying I answered 60 plus customer support requests, you could say I solved complex customer problems and identified 4 opportunities for the engineering team. You should also make sure your formatting looks good. I'd recommend staying away from designing your resume with special fonts, colors, etc. The best resumes are easily scannable and formatted the same way every time. For your LinkedIn, I'd recommend connecting with anyone and everyone from your school and your past work experiences. These connections could come in handy in the future to connect you with someone else, or if they work at the company you want to work at. You should include product manager keywords in your bio, about me, and say that you are open to associate product manager and product manager roles. Doing these things will help recruiters actually find your profile. You should also have a nice and clear professional profile picture. This is a small thing, but hiring managers will trust you more if your photo is professional and up to date. A product portfolio is a way to visually display your skill set and stand out in the application process. Recruiters, hiring managers, and other people who work at companies get lots of messages every week. In order to actually stand out in all those messages, you should leverage your product portfolio. Your portfolio can visualize your past work and projects, what makes you unique, and you can also include case studies. Case studies will demonstrate to hiring managers that you're actually able to do the job of a PM without already being in the role. It's basically the only way to demonstrate that before the actual interview process if you're transitioning from a related field. Check out the link in the description of this video for more info on product portfolios and how you can work with me to make an amazing portfolio that increases your chances of landing interviews. The fifth thing to focus on is networking. Networking is absolutely critical to getting your foot in the door of places. I recommend networking over LinkedIn and email with people who have product, engineering, or design roles at the companies you want to apply to. When you network, you should 100% make use of your product portfolio to stand out. As I mentioned before, these people get dozens of messages, so you need to stand out somehow. People will generally be curious if you send them a link to your portfolio, and if it's good, the chances they refer you go up significantly. When you network with people, you need to make sure the messages are customized and personal. If you don't customize them, people will just skip over them. I recommend asking people if they can answer some questions over LinkedIn or a quick call, and I don't recommend asking for a referral directly. The link in the description also touches on how to network effectively as well. The sixth thing to do is apply to jobs. If you don't hear back from different people at the company you're interested in when networking, you can apply directly for the role instead. Definitely wait to see if any contacts respond though before you actually put in an application, because if you submit an application before they respond and then they do respond and are willing to refer, it's not always easy for them to actually boost your application. So I always recommend to wait a couple days to hear back. When you do apply directly though, or if the contact sends you a referral link, make sure to always include a link to your LinkedIn profile and your product portfolio. I recommend tracking every role you're applying to in addition to who you're networking with for that role in a Google spreadsheet. This will help you keep everything organized and you won't forget to follow up with contacts or job postings. The seventh thing to do is actually interview. This is a huge topic, but I'll cover the basics in this video. First, I think it's important that you prepare 8 stories using the STAR framework. These 8 stories should be about projects you've worked on in the past. Once you develop these 8 stories, you should be very prepared to answer any type of behavioral question that you may be asked. For example, tell me about a challenging project you worked on in the past, or tell me about a project you're proud of. Next, you need to really do your research on the company and role you're actually applying to. Sign up for an account on the website or app and actually use it for some time. Get to know the features and their business model. It's very possible that you're asked questions about the company in your interviews and you want to be able to answer them in an educated way. You should also do interview prep for all the specific types of product interviews you may have. Product sense, product design questions, product analytics questions, technical interviews, etc. To get good at this, I really recommend doing mock interviews or at least practicing out loud with yourself. The only way you'll get good at these is practice. Check out a link in the description for help here. I also recommend taking notes about everything that comes up in your interviews. If they tell you something interesting about the product or team, write it down so that you can reference it later on. Something one person says might spark an idea for a question you have for another person interviewing you. You want to come off as very curious and ambitious. Hiring managers and interviews can tell if you're just interviewing to interview or if you actually really want the job. The 8th and final thing you need to do is negotiate. Most of the time, companies will give you an offer that is around the mid-range of a salary band. If they really like you and want you, then they're always willing to increase the salary a little bit. So the biggest piece of advice here is to not show your hand too early. If they ask you your salary requirements up front, don't feel pressured to say. Just tell them that you're really interested in learning if it's a good mutual fit. And if they insist, you can always ask for the range for the position, and when they tell you that, you can say that that works. When it comes to negotiate, you should base the number you asked for on data you have. So do you know that other PMs at the company are making a certain amount, or other PMs in your city are making a certain amount? That's the number that you should actually target. Always make the negotiation about your unique skill set, and go back to what I mentioned in tip number 3. Don't just say you want a higher salary because it's expensive to live in your city, for example. My final tip is to get an accountability partner. This can be a PM career coach like myself or someone you're close with. The process can be a long one, so it's good to have someone pushing you during it. In the end though, I guarantee it'll be worth it. If you're interested in working one-on-one with me, please check out the links in the description and book some time. Or if you have any questions, feel free to email me or drop them in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching.